I've got 5 new vocabulary words coming at you with context, so you'll never forget them. If you're a non-native speaker preparing for the TOEFL or IELTS exams, or you just want to make your conversational English a little bit more sophisticated, you'll want to know these words. We're using the academic word list, which has narrowed down the most important words for you to know. So let's get started. But first, if you like this video or you learned something, please give a thumbs up and subscribe with notifications. It really does help. We're starting with band 1, which is the first set of words in the academic word list. This is our 3rd video in this series. I'll link to the full playlist at the end of this video. Our first word is constitutional, and its most common use is as an adjective. It means relating to an established set of principles, a constitution. In the US, we have what we call the Constitution of the United States. It's the law of the land. It establishes the separation of powers in the United States. For example, it has amendments that address things like personal and other rights. For example, if I'm out protesting and someone says, "Go home," I can say, "It's my constitutional right to protest." The courts interpret the Constitution and apply it to our lives today. Let's look at some more examples on the web. I'm using Youglish as my search tool.
People have a constitutional right to an appointed attorney.
A constitutional right to an appointed attorney. A right, something that the government says you get to do or have that is protected by law. Let's watch that one again.
People have a constitutional right to an appointed attorney.
Here's another example.
Constitutional rights don't protect potential immigrants to this country.
Again, talking about constitutional rights, someone's right to do something as written in the Constitution. Let's see it again.
Constitutional rights don't protect potential immigrants to this country.
Here's another example.
We got 2018 coming up where they're trying to go for constitutional majorities.
A constitutional majority refers to America's House of Representatives. Whichever political party has the most members in the House, that party has a constitutional majority. Let's watch that clip again.
We got 2018 coming up where they're trying to go for constitutional majorities.
And now the next clip.
Their state legislatures could be positioned to offer a constitutional amendment.
A constitutional amendment is a modification, a change to the Constitution. Let's watch it again.
Their state legislatures could be positioned to offer a constitutional amendment.
Now one more example.
There's probably a constitutional question here, but I'm not a constitutional lawyer.
He used this adjective twice. A constitutional question, meaning are laws being broken, and a constitutional lawyer, meaning a lawyer who focuses on and is an expert in the Constitution. Constitutional. This is a 5-syllable word. Let's say it slowly together and do focus on stress. Simplify those unstressed syllables, which are lower in pitch. Constitutional. 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 Let's look at that up close and in slow motion. Constitutional. 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 Before we talk about context, I'd like to take a moment to talk about Cambly, who's sponsoring this video. You may be familiar with them. They match you with tutors on demand. It's an app that you can use when you're ready to study, but now they also have a new course feature. You can enroll in these courses free with any Cambly membership and work through the courses in live sessions with your tutor that you've booked through the app or online. They have all sorts of topics from general conversation to business English, and they even have lessons to help you ace your IELTS or TOEFL exam. This can give some great structure to the one-on-one lessons that you take. Cambly is offering a great deal for you, anyone watching this video, to get a discount 32% off an annual lesson package. I really encourage you to try it out. Pick a course, pick a teacher, and get yourself speaking English. Actually doing it is the best way to learn. Now, Back to our vocabulary, our next word is context. Do you remember at the very beginning of this video I said, you're going to learn the words with context so that you never forget them. Context is something around something else, the parts before and after, to help it be fully understood, to help explain something. Don't just learn the word and the definition, study the context, the words before and after in a sentence, in a couple of sentences, to help you really understand what that word means and how to use it. Let's go to Youglish for some context, some examples.
Well, let me put it in a broader context.
He said, put it in a broader context. That means to understand it, let's look at even more factors, at even a more general story. If we're studying a word and we see it in a sentence, well, there's a chance that you might not really understand how to use it. But if you use a broader context, maybe you read the whole paragraph, the meaning of the word can become more clear. So to have a broader context means to take in even more information about something. Let's see that clip again.
Well, let me put it in a broader context.
And now another example.
And then in the midst of all this came this new context.
A new context. So he's talking about changing our understanding of something. We used to think this was good. He's a doctor, talking about being a doctor in medicine. But now that we've learned more, we see that, oh, we have a different context, a different understanding, different things we're considering when we're looking at what it means to be a good doctor. Let's look at that clip again.
And then in the midst of all this came this new context.
Another example.
In a business context, I would explain it this way.
In a business context. So considering something as it relates to business. This is different than how you might think of it as it relates to family or religion, for example. In a business context, maybe the goal has to be to make more money. But in a different context, a familial context, you might say, you know, about money, the goal isn't just to make more, it's to spend time with my kids or my parents. So how you approach a problem or a question might be different depending on the context. Let's watch that clip again.
In a business context, I would explain it this way.
One final example.
For context, that is more than the entire venture capital industry spends annually on everything.
To put something into context. This is something we can say when we've said something that might be hard to grasp or understand. She says $86 billion. Well, that's just a number. If you compare it to other things, that can help you understand what this number really means. Is 86 billion a lot or not that much? It depends on the context. Let's watch that example again.
For context, that is more than the entire venture capital industry spends annually on everything.
This is a two-syllable word with first syllable stress. Let's break it down and say it slowly together. Context. Text. Here the letter X makes the KS sounds. X, x. Context. Then the T, xt, xt, xt. Context. Context. If this word links into a word that begins with a consonant, you'll want to drop the T. For example, that's the context that I want you to consider. Context that, context that, context that. Right from the KS into the TH, we drop that T. It's pretty common in American English to drop a T between other consonants, so that's what we'll do here. Let's look up close and in slow motion. Context. 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 Next, contract. A contract is an agreement between two or more people or groups of people. For example, when you buy a house, you put in an offer, it's accepted, and you're under contract. You've signed an agreement saying you will buy this house for this amount of money on this particular day. Let's go to Youglish to get some more examples.
I've signed a wonderful major book contract.
A book contract. That means she is signed with a publisher that she will write a book on a certain topic that they will publish. An agreement. Let's see it again.
I've signed a wonderful major book contract.
Another example.
Things were actually so good at this school that I actually ended up extending my contract by 1 extra month.
Extending a contract. This means he worked it out to do something even longer than he had originally agreed to. He extended his work contract another month. Let's watch that example again.
Things were actually so good at this school that I actually ended up extending my contract by 1 extra month.
Another example.
Which he wrote at a time when he was too young to sign the contract.
So we're talking about a book contract again, and here he was too young to sign it. There are laws about how old people have to be to enter into official agreements like a book contract. Let's watch that one again.
Which he wrote at a time when he was too young to sign the contract.
And now one final example.
I signed the contract without even reading it.
Signed the contract without even reading it. Okay, that's something you probably shouldn't do. Contract, an agreement, something official. A 2-syllable word, first syllable stress, contract. Contract. The word ends in the CT cluster. Do you know what will happen if it's followed by a consonant? Here's a hint. The T will come between 2 consonants. We'll drop it. Here's an example sentence. Did you sign a contract for the house? Contract for the K sound into the F consonant, no T sound. We drop the T because it comes between 2 consonants. Let's see this word up close and in slow motion. Contract, 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 contract. Next, create, a verb, to make something, something that wasn't there before, to bring it about, to use thought and imagination to make something. An actor might create a role. Someone wrote the movie, but the actor took what was written on the page and made it a person, created a character. Creativity, a related noun. This is the ability to make something new, new ideas, new methods, to do away with rules about how something should be done. The ability to make something really original. Let's look at an example.
Now is a time to create something new, something vital.
How to create something new. He's looking at a problem. He knows all the ways we've tried to fix it before that don't work. We need something totally new, totally different. We need to create that. Let's watch again.
Now is a time to create something new, something vital.
Here's another example.
Blockchains allow for us to create an open global platform.
Create a platform, something that wasn't there before, a new kind of platform. We're not using the old platform, we are creating something. Let's watch again.
Blockchains allow for us to create an open global platform.
Another example.
And there is perhaps no industry with more potential to create jobs now.
Ah, yes, creating jobs. That's something you'll hear politicians say a lot. Creating a job where there was not one before. Let's watch that again.
And there is perhaps no industry with more potential to create jobs now.
And now a final example.
For we must leap over the present and create a future that is an improved version of the past.
Create a future. Oh yes, that's definitely something new that hasn't happened before, the future. Let's watch that again.
For we must leap over the present and create a future that is an improved version of the past.
Create is a 2-syllable word with stress on the second syllable. Create. 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 The final T will be a flap T if this word links into a word that begins with a vowel or diphthong, like in the phrase, create another. Create a, flap T, create another. Can you create another draft? Create another. That's more natural than a true T, which would sound like this. Create another, create another, create another. We don't do that, we flap. Create another, create another. Also in the word creative, it's a flap T. In the word creativity, now there the first T is a true T, the second T is a flap T. That's because of stress. That syllable is stressed, and if a T starts a stressed syllable, it will be a true T. But the second T is a flap. Creativity. Creative. create. Let's watch create up close and in slow motion. Create. 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 Finally, we have data. Let's start with the pronunciation of this word. Now, this is something I really hate about online dictionaries. It has a phonetic spelling, it has a recording, and the recording is totally robotic.
Data or data.
Data or data. No, we totally don't say that. We say data or data. We make it a flap T because the T comes between two vowel or diphthong sounds and doesn't start a stressed syllable. Data, data. Also, when she said it, the two syllables sounded like they were the same length. Let's listen.
Data or data.
But they're not. The first syllable is stressed, so it's longer. The second is unstressed, so it's shorter. Data. 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 Now, the online dictionary says there are three pronunciations: the A diphthong, data, the A vowel, data. I've heard both of those, but it also says data with the A as in father vowel, and I've never heard that one in the American accent before. Data with the A diphthong is definitely the most common pronunciation, and it's what we'll hear in all our examples on Youglish. Data means information, facts, statistics. It's something we gather to learn about something we use to make decisions. Let's go to Youglish for some examples and context. Now, this word can be used both as a plural or a singular, individual facts or statistics. For example, these data are convincing, plural. Or it can mean a body of facts, a group, then it's used with a singular verb. For example, additional data is available at our website. Okay, let's go to Youglish.
I think we have the persuasive numbers, the data to prove. Here's what the data show.
The data to prove. You have an argument, something to prove. You have to back it up with information, maybe statistics, data. He also says the data shows. The data shows, the data proves. These are verbs you might hear with this subject.
I think we have the persuasive numbers, the data to prove. Here's what the data show.
Let's look at another clip.
But for many kinds of goods and data, any kind of data or product that we don't want tampered with.
Any kind of good or data we don't want tampered with, like personal data. Have you heard this term? Name, address, social security number, family members. This is all personal data that we want kept private. Let's watch that example again.
But for many kinds of goods and data, any kind of data or product that we don't want tampered with.
Another example.
So our team at the VA went out, we looked at the data.
They looked at the data. The real numbers, the real information on what veterans need. They didn't just guess, they got the information and they spoke to veterans themselves. Let's look at that example again.
So our team at the VA went out, we looked at the data.
And here's one last example.
Big data, consumer monitoring, gene sequencing, and more.
Big data. Have you heard this term before? It refers to sets of data that are so big that companies can't use traditional methods of processing. In this case, she was talking about health data. Let's look at data up close and in slow motion. Data. 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 Constitutional, context, contract, create, and data. 5 new words that you've learned with context and examples. Now you'll probably understand them if you hear them, but are you comfortable using them? That always takes more time. A great exercise is to go to Youglish now, type in one of the words, and say the sentences that you're hearing out loud. Repeat them over and over. Do 20 sentences, maybe even 50. Even though you're just repeating, I guarantee you'll be more comfortable using them in a sentence yourself. Thanks for sticking with me. I make new videos every Tuesday, primarily to help non-native speakers of American English feel more comfortable with, confident in, and knowledgeable in speaking American English. I also have an academy, Rachel's English Academy, where you can train your English communication skills to take them to a new level. Check it out at rachelsenglishacademy.com. That's it, and thanks so much for using Rachel's English.